Greetings, friend. Head Blend Master Scott Black here. How you doing today? Today we are once again talking about testimonies for high-speed blender owners, and I have my great friend here, Henry Oste. Henry, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Scott. Glad to be here.
Thank you. All right, so today we're going to be asking a small series of questions to Henry, and as you've seen in past videos, we'll be talking about the Vitamix and other high-speed blenders. So that's where we'll start. Henry, you are a high-speed blender owner. Which blender do you own?
I own the Vitamix 4500, I believe. I actually own two of them.
Very nice. And why two?
Well, I use one at home, and I have a condominium out in the Utah area, which my family uses, but I also rent. And I find that there are some people who, when they want to rent a condo,
Sure.
I put up as one of the pictures on the site, along with how many beds you have and how nice the pool is, a picture of the blender. And I've got some people who specifically come to stay at the condo because I have a Vitamix
Because
blender.
you have a Vitamix. That's awesome.
Because they don't want to travel with it.
That's the power of high-speed blending, actually. The
Absolutely.
people who have learned about high-speed blending have learned to embrace it, and they do search it out, for sure. So, well, awesome. So how did you first get introduced to the high-speed blending world?
Good question. In about 2010, I guess about 5 years ago, a good friend of mine, Ann Tierney, who I was doing some special body work with around stretching and strength training, had turned me on to something called a green smoothie.
Okay.
I was over at her studio one day, and she was drinking something that was green. I've never seen something green. I've seen different kind of milkshakes, and I tried drinking the green smoothie, and it tasted wonderful. And then I found out what was in the green smoothie in terms of the high content of vegetables, which I didn't think you could even put into a drink.
Right.
And said, wow, that's really great. And then I had my own blender and tried that at first, and realized after a short period of trying it that it didn't break up the
Right.
food the right way. And then I found out this really the Vitamix, or other ones, but I put the Vitamix being a food emulsifier, was really the way to go. So
Absolutely.
then I got the crack, and then started to use it, and pretty much use it at least every other day, if not every day, for something.
Very nice, yeah. And how long ago was that?
5 years ago.
5 years now.
Yeah.
I know when I met you, you had broken part of your leg or foot, and I forget which it was, but you saw us in a Vitamix demonstration.
Yeah.
And you had also just recently watched a show, I believe, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that started, if I remember right, another journey for you in the health and wellness arena.
Exactly.
So what would you say that you do more of, juicing, as they did in Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, or blending?
80 to 90% the blending. I found a lot of benefit from, so when I think I met you, I was on my knee scooter.
Yes,
I was scooting
yes,
into
you
a
are.
store, and kind of missed the scooter. You could skateboard in a store and actually get away with it.
Get away with it, yeah.
Yeah, so I had, for the first time in my life, long distance cyclist, realized that when I actually had a cast on and was immobilized, that I couldn't activity my way out of the situation, either whether it was the endorphins or burning up calories. I was stuck in a situation where I was fairly sedentary, and the food I was eating, I realized it was going to be the primary mechanism of my healing.
Sure.
So I wanted to find out about how I could heal myself and how I could shed some pounds. And at that time, I tried the fasting, doing a juice fast. Ann Tierney, once again, had sort of turned me on to this. And I did a 15-day juice fast in which I did the juice extraction. And that had wonderful benefits.
Sure.
You get to the point almost where you don't want, it's like she's never going to have to eat again, because you get this high from not having put in all the energy from digesting the food. But you do get to a point where you have to eat.
Right.
And I find juicing, if I want to fast, or if I want to do a cleanse, is great.
Absolutely.
You turn off your digestive system. I think we talked about this. I think the digestive system is the only biological system you can actually turn off.
Right.
And you can do it for that. But other than that, I use a blender because I want to build it into my regular sort of day-to-day things. And it's really, it's a breakfast replacement. I tend to do some sort of a smoothie every morning. Pretty much every morning.
Very
and then
nice.
that sort of has replaced breakfast. Then I'll have, if I have the time, like a late breakfast, maybe around like 11:30. And so I've changed, it's actually changed the synchronicity of how I eat throughout the day.
Okay.
So I kind of depend on this as my first thing when I
Very
get going in
nice.
the morning.
Very nice. So what Henry was talking about in turning off the digestive system is a simple aspect of, is if there's fiber, then the stomach and the system goes, oh, we have some work to do. And if there's no fiber, like water or juice, then the system goes, we have no work to do, and we'll let these nutrients just go right on through. And the absorption process actually happens in the intestines. And so that's why juice detoxing is very effective. And I've talked about this in past videos with my followers. So I'm glad that you brought it up. But overall, reserve juice fasting for those specific times that you want to detox, or you want to do small periods of times, because the body needs, desires, and likes fiber.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing about high-speed blenders is that high-speed blenders are able to, at the word that you use, emulsify. It actually breaks down the cellular wall of the food. Makes it so small that when you pour it through a nut milk bag, that most of that fiber falls through the nut milk bag, which is a very cool thing, because that means it also goes through your intestinal tract as usable nutrients. So it's one of the reasons why high-speed blenders are actually a benefit and can be used and utilized as a juicer as well. So, thank you. Now, what is your favorite recipe to make inside of your machine?
You know, that evolves over time. My current, probably once every 3 or 4 days that I'm doing is I love cantaloupe. I find that cantaloupe really speeds up my digestion and my elimination process. So cantaloupe is just fantastic. So I take some frozen cantaloupe and some fresh cantaloupe along with some dates and some chia seeds and blend that up. That's kind of one of my staples. But I recently was at a juice bar and I had someone make something for me that was really good too. I haven't been using as much experimentation with almond milk, but almond milk, almond butter, a little bit of orange juice, maca, blueberries, if I can remember, frozen bananas, and vanilla protein. Wow, that's just amazing. I usually have that a little later in the day or after I work out, because with the bananas and the other with the almonds, and it adds a little calories. So if you've done a good workout, that tends to sort of top it off a little bit.
Nice.
Top off the tank.
Nice. Well, do you have any examples, or have you ever had any problems with your machine? Have you broke your tamper, or maybe painted your ceiling, or any funny stories that you'd like to give us?
The only thing that I've actually broken is this piece here. What it usually comes off, but I guess not gonna come off. What is that part called? That's the.
You got me on that
I think
one.
it's the valve. It's the connector between the base, and it was because I didn't have it on fully.
Okay.
It was sort of off somewhat.
Got it.
And it spun so fast that it just wore itself out. But besides that, I've owned one blender for 5 years, one for about 3 years, and they've been rock solid. I think over time, early on, I don't think I listened to your advice. I put this into the dishwasher, which is a mistake. But so what I do now is I just put a little bit, like literally a drop of a dishwashing detergent, clean it up. Yeah, if you don't have this attached fully, that can be some fun.
Sure.
If you want to, have some fun, you just start it right there when you're at the top, and it'll paint your ceiling whatever color that's in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, in terms of cleaning, I have done a video on cleaning, but just a real quick tip for you. Number one, yes, I recommend, regardless if you have a Blendtec or a Vitamix or any other of the blenders, that you don't put it into the dishwasher. And the reason is because the dishwashing detergents are very harsh, and they tend to cloud a container very quickly.
That's what happened.
Also, depending on where you live, like we live in South Florida, and in Florida you have hard water. So much so that usually most homes have water softeners in them. That hard water simply means there's minerals inside of it. And minerals tend to collect, specifically calcium, and that can cause your container to get cloudy as well. So what you can do on a normalized basis is to put in hot water, vinegar, and a little bit of baking soda, and just let it sit there. So once a week, just put in a little bit of white vinegar, hot water, and baking soda, and just let it sit there for a little while, and then just wipe it out. And then that will knock off any calcium and other mineral deposits.
Good tip. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to do as a maintenance. Now, if it's gone cloudy and you try to put in the baking soda and vinegar like I just talked about, and it doesn't clear it, then you could in fact use a normal cleaner like a liquid bleach spray.
Okay.
Yeah, now if you're somebody who wants to go more natural to that, then try to do what I just said, and you may have to buy yourself a new container, and then just as a maintenance going forward, put the vinegar in on a weekly basis. So that should fix it. Well, great. I appreciate your time. I've got just one last question for you.
Sure.
What advice, tip, or what would you like to say to somebody who's either thinking about or who's not using their blenders? So somebody thinking about getting one, and maybe somebody who's not using their blender, what would you say to them?
Okay, so I'll break those into two. Someone who hasn't got a blender who's thinking about getting one. I think what goes through a lot of people's mind is the fact that this is a pretty big investment. If you haven't dipped your foot in the water and you haven't gotten the fact of how much you use it, and I would think about how many things you spend on things not having to do with your health, or think about how much you spend on different appliances, and seriously consider the investment in a high-speed blender like the investment in an appliance. How long this will last, and how much of an impact it'll have in your life. I don't use my microwave pretty much at all anymore. How much do I use my toaster? So if you think about the fact how often you're going to use it, and we just talked about, using it for smoothies. All the other, probably the other bigger thing I use it for is for making soups.
Soups, sure.
But you go to the store and you read the back of the jars, and most of them have got so much sodium in there you can't believe.
Sure.
What goes in there is what you put in there. So, and it tastes unbelievable. So think about this as an investment in your health, and think about whether it's like probably less than 1 month's insurance payment
Sure.
on your medical insurance, less than a payment on a car. And so I would just say make the investment because you're worth it. So that's if you're thinking about getting. If you have a blender, and you're trying to figure out how to use it more, I think there's probably a phase you get through when you make one smoothie, and I guess depending on your personality type, people sometimes like the same smoothie. For me, I like variety. So when you get to the point when you want to discover more things to make, which will make it more fun, I really think going to places where you can learn from people, whether it's at your Costco store or, frankly, it's one of the reasons I appreciated meeting you, and I've called you a number of times, and really liked your book, Living on High Speed, because it gives you some variety. So, don't get overwhelmed by the book. Maybe Xerox copy out 4 or 5 and just take them out, but bring those copies with you to Whole Foods, with you to Publix, with you to the market, so you get the right ingredients. And before you know it, once you have the ingredients and you've tried some different smoothies, then you're in. So I think just realizing that like with anything, to really stick with it, you want to have some variety.
Sure.
So just making sure that you have like 2 or 3 different kind of smoothies that you make. The other thing is, I'd be careful. My cousin's husband has one of these, and he puts in what my dad calls pastico, pistachio, everything in there, which I'm glad to see he uses it. But I think certain combinations of certain things don't go that well, and I think he may be consuming more calories than he necessarily should,
Sure.
or he may have some things that he's not getting a real benefit from. So understand, if you're going to take the time to put stuff in there, understand what works well together. Once again, in your book, Living at High Speed, there's some other places where you actually get a little education as to certain things that do go well together and certain things that don't.
Sure.
So I guess that's my
I
2 cents on
appreciate
the
that.
topic.
I appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons why I've actually created the Blend Master Academy, so people can come to a learning portal and know that they're getting healthy recipes at the same time. That stated, we may even do a few mixed drink recipes in here too, just because that is one of the aspects of high-speed blenders.
I'm expecting something on St. Patty's Day, by the way.
Oh, that's an idea. That's a thought. So, well, anything else that you would like to talk about?
No, I think you've hit on all the key issues. So one of the things that I think that some people can really benefit from is that fruits and vegetables sometimes go bad in the refrigerator, and what I do is I can freeze a lot of stuff. So I take the bananas and I pre-peel them and I cut them into almost small cubes.
Sure.
Anything you can put into to a cube tray. I recently discovered a product called E3 Live, an algae-based product.
With it.
And so I take that and I pour that into ice cube trays. So realize that my freezer is way more stocked than my refrigerator because you know I'm a single guy, so I would throw away a lot of the food. So I'll hit the market and buy my sprouts, you know, things fresh every week, but those go bad pretty quickly. So the freezer is definitely a place that you can go longer term. I think that would be my only little tip that I've learned.
Nice, nice. Well, for us, for my followers, you know, I live in a geodesic dome and I don't have a freezer anymore, so we have to shop daily for most of our food. Or we pick it from our garden, and we're in the throes of building a new garden as we speak.
Nice.
So that'll be nice. Well, again, thank you for your time.
Pleasure, Scott.
It's been a pleasure. Everybody, I appreciate you viewing our videos. Always come back for more. We're uploading daily, weekly, and definitely going to be the foremost authority on all things blender for sure.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
This is Head Blend Master Scott Black wishing you well. I wish that for you, you become a high-speed blend master. Blend smoother, blend with greater diversity, blend faster, become a blend master, and above all, keep on blending, my friends. Thank you and have a great day.